What is up guys, Julian here of Social Vignerons. Welcome back to another wine video. This is episode 16 of the Talking Wine with Julian series, the TWWJ series. This series where I share as a winemaker my passion and knowledge about wine. We learn several times a week about a wine related topic, a wine region, a grape variety, a wine style, so you can just sit at home and learn and enjoy the learning experience. This is also going to be the first part of a mini series within the series where we are going to be looking at what is wine.
Rock. Get down and shake it when the beat drop. Get up. Well, get up.
We are not going to be looking at the obvious stuff that, yeah, wine is made of grapes and then it's fermented by yeast and it goes in oak and then it's bottled. There are some great videos out there about this. We are going to be looking at what makes wine so special, why it is so special in our culture. If you're looking at this video, you probably know about wine a little bit and you probably feel that wine has got this sort of mystical concept around it, but very few people actually explain and know why wine is something so unique in our Western culture. Why was it the beverage of choice of the ancient Greeks, the ruler of the ancient Greeks, the emperors of Rome, the Egyptians? Why has it been elevated to a god level by the Romans, by the church, all over history? Why is it so special? So I am going to be running a 5-part series to approach different angles of what make wine such a unique beverage in everyone's mind and in our culture, beyond the fact that it just tastes good and it's a fun, nice, geeky beverage to learn about. So today I am going to be focusing on why is wine made from grapes and not any other ingredient, not any other type of fruit. So this is going to take us on a journey to form in your mind a bit of a complex understanding of what is wine. I am going to try to break things down for you into simple, digestible concepts, but once you've seen and once we've explored with this 5-part series the different aspects of wine, you will have a broad understanding of what makes wine special. So why grapes? And this is a very specific, but not really many people know and understand why wine is made of grapes. Of course, there are wines made from other types of fruit. There are wines made from plum and wines made from, you name them, from, I guess, apple. I mean, that's apple cider. Wines made from apricot and banana, and you can virtually make wine out of anything. But what has made grapes so special and so successful in our diet and for making an alcoholic beverage? So this is going to be broken down into two main aspects. We are going to tap a little bit into the composition of wine, while part number 2 of this series, I am going to go a bit deeper into the composition of wine and the aromatic composition and flavor composition of wine. So stay tuned for part number 2 where we'll go a bit deeper. But to understand why grapes are so great for making an alcoholic beverage, we're going to have today to tap a little bit into the composition of wine.
Get up, do the up rock.
First thing, grapes are great for making a beverage because they contain a lot of water. Yeah, it sounds obvious, but there's about 80% water in a grape, and not all fruits are juicy and great for making beverages. A fig, for example, that would be an archetypical. There's not a lot of juice to be extracted. So to make a beverage, grapes are great because they have a lot of water. Secondly,
get up, do the up rock. Get down and shake it when the beat drop.
They contain quite a lot of sugar. When you think about it, grapes are very concentrated in sugar. It's one of the fruits that has the most sugar. It's about 20% sugar in a grape. And when you want to make an alcoholic beverage, having a high concentration of sugar allows you to make more alcohol. And of course, we do like to have a little bit of alcohol. Why? Because it just makes us happy. As well, alcohol allows for better preservation of any beverage. Thirdly, wine is the fruit that contains the least amount of pectin. What is pectin? Well, if you make jam at home or if you make jelly, pectin is the jellyfying agent. Pectins are essentially the vegetal equivalent to gelatin in the animal world, and grapes don't have a lot of it. Most other fruits have a lot of pectins in them. Apples have a lot of pectins, apricots and peaches, all the other fruit have a lot of pectins. What pectins does into a juice, a fruit juice, when you press the fruit, pectins is going to allow all the bits of fruit to stay in suspension into the wine. So when you want to obtain a clear liquid that you actually want to drink, that doesn't contain lots of bits and pieces of pulp, you would call it, into a citrus fruit, you don't want a lot of pectins. As well, if you want to filter a liquid with a lot of pectin in it, it's actually very hard, because the pectins are going to block all the filters. While grapes, naturally, they have a lot of liquid, a lot of water, and it clarifies very easily by itself. All the bits of grapes, all the bits of vegetal pieces are going to fall down at the bottom of a tank, or you are going to be able to clarify a wine very easily. And that's completely unique in the world of fruits. This was very important again in ancient times, because they could obtain a clear liquid that was relatively stable over time without having to filter or use any complicated system. Think about of an orange juice. It's got loads, if you press an orange, it's got loads and lots of pieces, and it's not going to settle as well and become clear as wine would do. This is due to the content of low pectins in wine. And as the fourth element in the composition of wine that makes it very special, wine is a very acidic beverage, but not any acid is in the wine. Of course, all fruit are acidic, but wine has a very specific acid. The main acid in wine is called the tartaric acid. What is special about tartaric acid is that not many plants create tartaric acid. It is a very rare acid in the world of plants. What does it do? It makes that the microorganisms don't like tartaric acid because it's not in the world, so they don't know how to metabolize it, how to feed on it, how to break it down to feed on it, unlike any other acid that is found in fruit. The citric acid that is found in citrus, all the bacteria love citric acid. It's also very good for our system. We can metabolize citric acid extremely well. Tartaric acid, we don't metabolize it. Even ourselves, we don't metabolize it. Similarly, the microorganisms don't like tartaric acid. They don't like acids in general because it's aggressive on them, and they particularly don't like tartaric acid because they can't eat it, they can't feed on it. This makes that microorganisms don't like to grow on wine. They can't just grow in the wine very easily because there's quite a lot of alcohol and there's a lot of acid. There are only just a few types of bacteria that can actually grow on wine. The acidic bacteria is the one that transform alcohol into acetic acid into vinegar, but that's pretty much the only type of organism that can grow comfortably on wine, except perhaps for Brettanomyces, but that's another subject. What this does is that wine is very stable over time, and you could put it in an amphora, you could put it in a container. It's not going to turn bad too easily. You can't really get sick with wine except from the effect of alcohol if you drink too much. That's obviously always in moderation, but there is not going to be a really bad bacteria that is really going to make you completely sick that grows into wine. Again, anciently this was very important.
Get up, do the up rock. Get down and shake it when the beat drops.
So overall, if we look at the composition of grapes, and sorry if this was a little long, you know I like to go a little bit deep, I'm passionate about wine and I like to explain quite a few things. Overall, naturally, we've got this sort of magical composition of grapes that have a lot of sugar, a lot of water. They stabilize, they clarify, the wine clarifies rather easily, and we've got this magical tartaric acid that preserves it. So anciently especially, they had this nearly perfect composition of a liquid that they could turn into a fantastically exhilarating liquid with alcohol in it pretty much by itself. They just had to press the grapes, clear juice, put it in a tank, the yeast would just grow in it, transform it into alcohol, and so, with some sort of magic, they had this beverage that was drinkable, that was yummy, that gave them calories, and that just came out of the grapevine, that seemed to come from the sky like a gift from the gods. Essentially, the composition of grape juice itself was just gifted to us by some sort of magic to make a fantastic, successful beverage for us kind wine lovers and human beings. Then beyond the composition of grapes, and this is going to be our point number 2, what is very special about wine, what's made its success in history, is that the grapevines can virtually grow anywhere with very, very little water on very, very poor soils. And this was very important in ancient times, especially around the Mediterranean that is very, very dry, where many soils that are very poor, nothing could absolutely grow except perhaps for olive trees and a bit of thyme, a bit of rosemary, maybe a bit of lavender, but nothing could grow on many soils around the Mediterranean, in Italy, in south of France, in Spain, and around the Middle East. Same thing, not a lot of things could grow. While vines, you can plant them on a very arid soil, and they are going to extract a lot of water out of the soil, put a lot of sugar into it, and give it to us for our enjoyment. So the Romans identified this and identified that they could become wealthier if they planted vines everywhere. So that's kind of what they did all around Europe, and that's why we have vines and we find fantastic terroir all around Europe. So again, there is something quite mystical about the grapevine, this magical plant that with a bit of earth and the sun and a tiny bit of water can provide wealth and happiness to all of us, to humankind. Then this is just the essence, the composition and the growing, the viticulture, the production of wine in essence was somewhat fantastic and magical and unique in the world, and that explains the success of wine. I hope you find this interesting. Then obviously there are about 2,000, 3,000 years of history around perfecting the wine, and we will talk about this in the further episodes. We will talk about the different wine styles, we will talk about the aromas and the flavors of wine and why they are unique. We will talk about the grape varieties and what it means for the world of wine, and we will finally talk about the prices of wine, and is wine really expensive, and what it means, what is the price of wine, how is it important in the world, and the success of wine. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. It only takes 1 second, but it helps me quite a lot. Don't forget to spread the word about this series. Don't forget to let me know what you think about it, and if you have any topics that you would like me to cover in this series, feel free to leave me a comment. I will see you in the next episode of the TWWJ series, and I will see you soon in the wine world.